Um, we said there's about 425 cemeteries in the county. Okay. And no, I made a mistake. I said my notes have been to 347. So I'm on to, I don't plan on going to all of them, but I may end up doing that. Okay. Because I get to the point I need to go do something. Okay. Um, in the eastern part of the county, from like Kilden to Elk River, there's 6 cemeteries that I haven't been to. I want to go to them. Two of them on near where Arkdale was Center Hill. They're there. Two of the farmers up there said they'll take me to 2 different ones I've been wanting to go to, but it's been about a year and I'm still waiting. Okay, they're busy, and I'm anxious. Okay, so I want to go to those. But there's about 6 near Lexington that I want to find, and we're done from Florence to Elk River, unless somebody says, "Hey, I know where a grave is," and I'd love to hear about those. So if you know where any graves are hiding in the bushes, tell me how to get there. I want to know. I want to go there. Okay.
Well,
Yes, ma'am. In the back.
before you leave today,
Yes.
if you go right down the road to where the turnaround is,
Mhm.
go up to the cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see, the second house on the left,
Mhm.
there is a gravestone that is out in a ditch.
Yes, ma'am. There is.
Have you been there before? I was going to ask you if you'd take your dowsing sticks and see if that's actually a grave. Or is that just,
We believe it's a grave.
is it really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been up there a couple of times. Jimmy Woods or some of the others. We believe that's a grave. Yeah. But we're not
Do you know
sure.
anything about it, or
No.
okay?
Like a few days
It's
ago.
an odd place for one.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's been there for years and years and years.
Yeah. They're everywhere. Like a few days ago.
Y'all know what I'm talking about? Linda, do you know what I'm talking about? It's in front of Janie Grimes.
You've heard the little, not controversy, but interest in the old Sweetwater plantation. BC knows about it. Well, I've been a little bit involved with that, but not too much. Okay. And I was over near the Broadway Recreation Center. Okay. Because when I was a child, we lived at 310 North Franklin Street. And I went to the old Whedon School in the first grade. Okay. And it's gone now. Okay. So I was over there on Broadway. There's a church. I think David, you may know, it was a Pentecostal church, I think. You go up there from 72, turn right and go up there. Well, now it's something else, a community something, Baptist. I've forgotten what it is. So in that, there's an alleyway back there. And I don't know why I went back there, but I was just poking around. I was looking, and I got near the corner. I said, that's unusual. There's a stone there with some grass growing around it in a paved area. So I stopped and parked. That is a grave right there. That's why it hadn't been disturbed. It's an old stone with no inscription, but that's a grave right there. Now, I've researched all I can. I can't find anything about it. But why was that left right there, untouched, right in the parking area, in the playground? But it's a grave. Yeah. But they're everywhere. Now, here's something we never look for because I have. Remember the old Kmart building, where it was? You don't know. You got to. On State Street back there. Behind it, before Kmart, you know what it was called? Maxim department store. Well, right in front of them, behind that building, there's some graves. I've forgotten the name of them, but there was a few graves back there. And I've been about a year or so ago. I went and talked to all the businesses up and down the street there, asking about it. You been here a long time? Yeah, I've been here 20-something years. You ever notice some graves right here? They don't know. But Mr. William Q. Hill was there. He recorded them. I think he was one. And like I said, I don't remember the names, but there were graves right there behind that building. And but it's been bulldozed and the streets been widened and plowed up several times. But there's graves. They're just everywhere around their county. Okay. Any more questions from the back? I think they're getting sleepy back there. Here's something from Oakland down to Waterloo, more or less between Oakland and Waterloo, including Rhodesville. There's about 32 cemeteries that we've gone to. Okay, David knew where some of them were. The Woods brothers and Kenneth Murphy, they knew where they were. And so I've printed off those, I think, 31, 32 surveys here for you. And we'll go through some photos of that in a minute. But some of those are very important. They were associated with plantations in the area. Okay? And when we start looking at photos, we'll talk a little bit about that. Types of gravestone. You ever think about that? The types of material, type of stones, where they come from? They don't come from Lauderdale County or Waterloo or Florence. Slate stones. They were from about year 1650 to 1900. Okay. None came from the south usually. Some in Georgia now, but not too much. And they're shale or medium dark gray, maybe with hints of blue in it. Can be hints of blue. Now, shale brings back a memory about a year and a half ago. Jimmy Woods and I were over there, Panther Creek Road. That was my first time. I knew about Panther Creek Road. This was my first time being on Panther Creek Road. We were looking for a cemetery or a grave anyway. We crossed two little streams of branches, and Jim said, "Oh, look at that shale in there." Well, we got across that second stream, and he said, "I think we got a flat tire." That shale will just rip a tire all to pieces. Well, we were in Jimmy's truck, and it was hot, of course. So we parked. Yeah, we got a flat, don't we? Yeah, it looks like it sliced that tire. So I asked Jimmy the obvious question, "Jimmy, do we have a spare?" He said, "Yeah, we do." We got underneath. We both were sweating hot. We tried to remove the nut that's holding the bolt to get that spare tire off. The whole assembly was turning. We couldn't get that spare tire off. Jimmy and I were looking at each other, what are we going to do? There was no traffic. And I'm thinking, I'll just call Jimmy's wife, Doris. No cell signal over there. Jimmy said, what are we going to do? He said, well, I don't know. We sit here, somebody comes by. So I took my phone. I said, I'm going to walk down the road. I started walking down the road, and between trees, I was hoping I could get a cell signal long enough to call Doris. I walked back and forth, back and forth. Still no traffic coming down the road. Finally, it connected with Doris' phone for about 10 seconds. I said, Jimmy says, go down to the downtown and tell, I forgot who it was, to bring an air tank up here. The guy runs the store or somebody down here. And, okay, she said she would. Well, we waited about 20 minutes to hear the truck coming. And it was him with the air tank. So we were feeling good. So we pumped that tire up. We got in and started to hit it down toward the end of Panther Creek Road. Of course, it ran flat again about 3 minutes because the split was so big in that tire. So, Jimmy, what are we going to do now? Well, we got to have more air. Well, how are we going to contact this man again? So I went back, walking down the road and trying to call Doris and connected again, and she sent him back up there. So about 3 times we got enough air to get down to somebody's house on the road, and it went flat again. The man was out there in his yard. He said, you guys got a problem? Yeah, we do. It's flat. He said, I can fix that for you. I said, would you do that? He went in the shop and he got a plug and stuff and an air pump and came back out. In 3 minutes, he had it fixed for us. So that was our good day. But there was no traffic on Panther Creek Road. And we gave up. We didn't find that grave we were looking for. So we'll go back. Anyway, nowadays, shale or slate is found in Vermont, New York, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Okay, mostly. Sandstone or brownstone. It was used primarily from 1650 to 1890. It's a sedimentary rock with compressed sand, is what all that is. It can be light tan, medium tan color. The largest quarry of sandstone in the United States is Lorain, Ohio, where it comes from. Still being mined, but not to a great extent. Next one is marble or limestone. You know what marble is. Some of it's bright white in the cemeteries. It's old, but it's bright white. And marble was used starting maybe around 1780 to 1930. It's another sedimentary rock, compressed of shales. That's what it is. That's what limestone is, in marble shales from the sea, old sea. Color is usually white. Largest underground quarry in the world, for that is in Vermont, okay, northeast. Granite is the predominant gravestone now, because granite, looks nice once it's finalized and finished and ground and polished, and it'll be around forever almost. They started using granite in about 1860. It's as a result of hot liquid rock from deep in the earth, coming out, volcanoes. That's how it formed. And then it cools and solidifies on the ground. It's blue, and granite is quarried in Vermont primarily. Other places, but primarily Vermont. So now you know all you need to know about gravestone materials. Okay, and I learn something every time I look at some of this stuff. And last but not least, people will call or text and says, "Do you go to Franklin County and Colbert County and Lawrence County and so forth?" No, man, we don't. Well, why not? I said, "Look, we'd love to. We're trying to finish Lauderdale County before we all die. You know, I mean, it's a lot of work, but I love it." But people, well, there's some graves over here. You need to see this. Yes, ma'am. I know we will someday, maybe, but we just can't go do those. You know, it's so much work here.
So
Yes, ma'am.
if you guys, if you don't do the survey,
Yeah.
where are the records? Who keeps the records of the cemeteries that are not affiliated with the church?
No one. No. You can go to the Lauderdale Gen website. There again, it's by the county, and the coordinator is Pat Hartley. It's not real current. Okay, there's old ones on there, and there's especially when Mr. Irons did it and William Q. Hill, and there's directions on there. However, you get out in the remote areas of the county, and Mr. Irons, well, they all were very good. Well, when they were doing the surveys, didn't have these cameras, didn't have computers to go back home and do all the information. They wrote it longhand, somebody typed it for them, and that's good. But when they said, well, you go down this trail, this faint road for 500 feet, and you turn right at the red oak tree. You're going down and turn left at the poplar tree. Well, guess what? Those trees are gone. That's 50 years ago. That's what you run into. We've had to deal with that, trying to understand it and go and just go and not find them and go back. And I go back and I do a lot of searching by satellite views of property, see, where it could be.
Do funeral homes have any responsibility for maintaining records like that?
None. Don't have any responsibility. Well, there's no requirement for them to do that. Now, they know where to go usually, but usually when somebody, and I asked a friend of mine, Steve Chenault, not long ago about this record from a third great uncle. He was known as the bootleg king of Wayne County, and he was murdered, and he murdered people too. But anyway, trying to find out where a certain picture of him might have been taken in March of 1936. Before it was Morrison Elkins, Brown Service, Bill Chisholm, and others in the late 50s and back. Everything then was handwritten on records, pieces of paper. Then, they would sell to someone else, and they would hopefully transfer all those records to them. Maybe they would update them and maybe not with their record systems. And like Elkins, they still have a lot of old records, okay? But Steve had one of the employees to go and search for these, and he just couldn't find anything. But there's no requirement to locate the cemeteries. But when somebody dies, some family member will usually go to funeral home and say, this cemetery, and this is how you get there if they don't know. They've been to most all of them, except the very remote ones. And those that have been isolated essentially for 25 years, there's nobody been there since then. And those are the ones that we go to, okay? And I update the directions, okay? And I do that on the surveys, okay? And coordinates. I use coordinates all the time, GPS coordinates. You can go any place in the world if you got the coordinates. But you got to figure out the trails and through the woods how to get there. But they have no really records. The recent ones, they would have some, but they're not obligated to do anything with them. See, they're not going to publish them.
That just blows my mind.
They're not going to publish them.
Like Shackelford's in Savannah, who I'm from there.
Yeah.
You buy your plot from them.
Yeah. Now, the commercial cemeteries, they'll have their records, like Tri-Cities and those.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The bigger cemeteries.
Oh, yeah, they have those.
Graveyards. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Wonder if they've ever dug a grave
Preach to the choir,
that they were not supposed to dig there.
Oh.
Because the family told them to dig there. That's where we're going to put it. But then he come find out you got somebody else's property.
That happens.
And you have to put the
But they dig wherever the family members tell them that I own this plot, that's his plot. That's where they dig. But usually you tell the funeral home and they've got a person, not maybe contract, they know that goes and digs graves. Okay, then they got another person they buy the monuments from and all this. Okay, but it happens. Absolutely, it happens. There's a lot.
You
Go
guys
ahead.
are kings.
I'm sorry.
I said you guys are kings to do what you're doing.
Did you know that, David?
I never really did that. I had no idea.
Well, you
Nobody
don't.
keeps track
You
of
just
this.
keep you going with it. You just realize what all is involved. But the old stuff is what is really intriguing. You go in an old cemetery and like the old stones and read those inscriptions and symbology that's on the stones. What do they mean back then? You can do search the internet and you find out a lot of information what those symbols mean back then, years ago. Yeah. But nowadays, nobody's too interested in it. Like the Roots Web, it was a big national database just for different states and counties and so forth. But Lauderdale County is not maintaining that. And that coordinator was Pat Mahan. She did an excellent job for many years, but she's kind of old like we are. So she's giving it up.
And if Lauderdale County had an archive,
Yeah.
and that's something we need to start recruiting
Yeah.
for.
People, the city fathers and leaders, county leaders, they yet to recognize how important that is. Some of it, like Loretta, they have a real archives up there. It's very good. Okay. Now I go to Waynesboro a lot for the courthouse, the historian's office. I work with those guys. They have a lot of information, but it's not an archives. But they have a lot of information up there, and a lot of it's in the dungeon. I call it in the courthouse. And a couple times I've been up there, and I go down there and lock the door, and I have a flashlight. And I think there's 1 or 2 lights in there, and start digging through records trying to find stuff. But there's a lot of records in the Lauderdale County Courthouse. I don't know what it would take to get them interested in it.
I don't know.
Of course, it's easy to say we don't have the funds for it.
So answer there.
You did. And when I go up to Waynesboro, I say, well, why don't the county commissioners, or whatever they call there, appropriate some money for some local college students or seniors, high school students, go down and get those records organized. Doesn't happen. But that's important. But to me, these plantations in the western part of the county is more important than that. People just focus on Forks of Cypress. I got to tour the home before it burned. And yeah. It was a great place, magnificent place.
Dr. Melson and Dr. Irons bought that together, and they built their houses out around the circle. You go through by columns that are still standing, and you see their homes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Do you have another question?
I do have one.
Okay.
Back, and you may be going to cover this later. In
That's
some of
okay.
the pictures, but for quite some time, I've always heard the story, as most people hear, that behind the Senior Citizen Center, there's a little, I guess, a park. Used to be an old park, but there are some, what they think are the remains of graves in the water there. When the water goes down, you can see an imprint of some squares, and they, some people say it's where caskets were moved. Some people say there was an old factory over there, and that's the imprints of some of the old machines or something that was under the water.
Allegedly, yes, ma'am. Allegedly, the TVA removed those, relocated them, back before they impounded the lake. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, if my memory serves me correctly, there were Witherspoon family graves.
Okay.
Witherspoon.
Okay.
Yeah, I was close.
Okay.
Witherspoon.
So you think they probably were graves? Think so.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we have a map of who lived where the lake is now. That was all farmland and home fronts,
Yes.
homes there.
Okay.
My father-in-law helped finish cleaning out some of the residue that was left
Okay.
when they TVA, eminent domain.
Sure.
Took the land.
Sure. Allegedly, they reviewed and relocated 60,000 graves.
60,000 graves.
Everywhere in the county, they were obligated to go find those graves everywhere and determine if it was going to be in the floodplain or when the levels when they impounded the lake. Everywhere in Lauderdale County and lots of Wayne County they had to go to. And I think they did. Yeah.
Can you imagine what an undertaking
Oh,
it was?
Oh, it was huge.
I
It was
can't
huge.
imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there was a mandate for them. They had to go do that. But you hear tales, well, they didn't do these down here. These are still underwater. They probably missed some. I mean, I'm sure.
The then the rewards that they reaped from going through all of that, there was electricity and there was jobs and life became easier in lots of ways.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you have to give up some things sometimes.
Mhm.
It would be hard to have your loved one's grave moved, disturbed like that.
That's correct. Yeah. And that's how Richardson Cemetery came into being
That's
down
why
here.
it's
I have a
there where
cousin
it
buried
is.
up there. Yeah. Yeah. She's from Cloverdale. Yeah. But no, you're right. And your name was Linda.
McFall.
And you were,
Linda.
where's your home?
I live on the head of Second Creek, the lake.
Okay,
number one,
yeah.
and the one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Now, have you ever heard about a cemetery that's over on 90? 90 goes from behind off of one. You know where one is?
Yes. That's where Jimmy lived in on one.
Yeah, Jimmy
About
lives
cup,
over on
yeah, up
one.
from he
Yeah.
just this side of Williams Chapel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you go the end of the lake on one, and there's a road 90 goes
90.
circles around, comes back out on 14.
Okay.
On the hillside over there, this is my husband's aunts. They knew people that were buried there. They've been gone a long time, but it's an old cemetery up there, and there's some markers, but I don't know the name of. I can't get you there. I know generally where it is, but then Jimmy Woods may know how to get to it.
We've been to all of them up there that Jimmy's aware of, except one. And I met a lady some years ago, had a full set of TVA maps for this whole area, where every cemetery was supposed to be located. And Jimmy and I would look at it, and David would look at them. But there was one we determined, and someone confirmed that later, that you got to have a boat to get to the grave. I told Jimmy, I'm not going to that
A
one.
boat.
Hitchcock Lane, Hitchcock something,
No,
right by the river.
I'm familiar with that.
Yours, we're talking about further north up there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's away from the water.
Is this one on the end of the world road?
No.
You know that road is?
Well, there's a road that's called Farley Road that goes off of 90. Farley Road, and it comes out on Collins Creek Road in Tennessee. No, we're not at the end of the world road.
But you know where that
I've
road
heard of
is?
that before. I don't know where it's at, but I've heard of it before.
Well, I didn't either, but Jimmy knew. He took us there.
It's off State Line Road.
Yeah, the State Line Road. And you go and you park. And I guess some years ago you could drive all the way up there, but the Jeepers and people have destroyed it. You can't.
I know where you're talking
You got to walk it's about a mile up there, David, was it?
Yeah, no, about a mile and a quarter.
Okay.
mile and a half.
Jimmy knew of one cemetery, but we found the second one up there. And I've got it documented. I don't recall the name. When I had about 100 of them, I could kind of keep them in mind, but now with these
Have you
400.
ever heard of Landon?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
That's not too far from my house.
Okay.
There's a cemetery right there before you go across the bridge at Landon. It's Ford Smith.
I did a resurvey that not too long ago.
That's where my husband.
Did you see me up there? You didn't stop and offer to help me
I did not.
No.
Sorry.
or leave me a hot dog or anything.
But I could have, because I was up there just a couple of weeks ago hauling hay from over there.
Yeah, because I was.
Shore place up there.
It's-
The house is
Mhm.
looks like a mansion on the hill.
Yeah, I was up there, and then some person came by and asked me. I said, "Well, this interesting church building, they still have services." He said, "No." That was very interesting. Somebody said, "Well, see that big table? They used to have a big table back there for food." Now I like that idea.
That was a school. Of course, it was a one-room church house and one-room
Oh.
school at the time. When my mother-in-law and her sisters and brothers went to school there.
Okay. So I learned something by you being here today.
Yes, you know.
I have. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah.
And the road, Manbone Road,
Mhm.
it comes out in Tennessee on the 69 highway, close to the Starlight Tavern. You didn't know that information.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, I can't show you where it comes out.
Yeah.
And there's just little roads here and there, but I've been across there,
Okay.
so I know it does.
The way I met Jimmy was through his wife.
It does.
Let me think back now. She sent me a note.
Her daddy was really.
Yeah, somehow she sent me a text about the cemetery of so and so over here. David Montgomery knew about that cemetery. He had recorded it. And they was still, I think, there's some controversy what state it's in. And I think David actually measured it from the state line. It's in Tennessee. And Doris told me the name of it, and I wonder where I found it. forgot how many graves are there. It's right by the roadway. You got to go up and come back on the bank. There's some white PVC pipe up there.
Felder Cemetery. You've been to Felder Cemetery?
Is it in Tennessee?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
It's right on the edge of Tennessee. On the gate.
And but that's how I met Jimmy. Okay, and it was a good thing. So
Jimmy and Arms have been everywhere in the cemetery explorations.
Yeah.
Since they retired.
okay. Now, any other questions from the audience? You guys back there? Okay. Up front, any other questions? You can talk about anything we've mentioned? Anything that I have misstated? Which I'm sure I have, but I try to be factual. Okay.